Hey everyone on YouTube, how you guys doing? I'm doing this vid because I haven't done one recently on knife making, and in order to keep my channel active, let you guys know that I'm still around, I just wanted to put something up just to say hi, reach out to my subscribers, and also to do a thank you or appreciation video for Eugene over at Roman Legionnaire 77 channel. Eugene is a really great guy. All my subscribers, I recommend that you subscribe to him, look at and watch his videos. He does a lot of knife reviews, and not only from production knives, but also from custom knife makers and such, things that you don't normally see. So it's not, you know, another knife review on a K-bar or a cold steel or an SOG, which you'll find hundreds of. He'll do, I mean, some of the common knives, of course, but a lot of them are also ones you don't see very often. An honest review. Also, as a benefit of being a subscriber to Roman Legionnaire, you can partake in his giveaway contests, which he has quite often, many contests during the year, and the prizes are very, very generous. You can look at his old giveaways and you'll see what he's given away. A very generous guy, very nice guy, and quite enjoyable videos to watch. Eugene did a, let me go shift down here so I can read it. Shout outs to 3 awesome channels, and he included me and 2 other cool guys in the shout out. So thank you, Eugene, for including me in those 3. I'm touched, I'm humbled by it. So thanks, Eugene, for that. But I wanted to do a little show and tell. Hopefully you find this video interesting. This is the, I guess you can call it the second knife I ever made. And it was made March of last year. So coming around almost 1 year of knife making. And this is the second one I made. I used mild steel from either Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a large, you know, home supplier, hardware kind of store. Mild steel, and it's not heat treated because it's not a really good steel for making knives. But it's a cheap steel. It's a good steel to practice with. So after watching a lot of videos on YouTube, and many of them came from Gafco. You know, guys like Gafco in particular, he makes it look so easy. He has really good, of course, almost everyone knows who Gafco is, I'm sure, and if you don't, definitely subscribe to him. He makes his tutorials look so easy, and his knives are just so beautiful, so artistic, that after watching his videos, I was convinced that I could do this too, because his instructional videos are so clear and descriptive and easy to follow. I just had to give it a try. So it was almost a year ago when I bought some steel and followed Gafco's videos and a few others as well, and came up with this knife. I modeled it after the K-Bar Big Bowie. It's got pretty much the same dimensions. And let's see, I also made it much like a Japanese katana, which I've always had an interest in, where you could disassemble it and clean it, maintain it, whatever. It's got holes here for pins, which I've never put in. I never put in the handle, but the intention was to put holes there for pins, and this slides out. And now I'm having trouble putting it back in because I'm using one hand. So this is my second knife. The first two, the other 2 that I made, as I said, I made a few at a time, and now I can't get this back in. Having trouble doing it one-handed. There we go. Let's put it under some light here. At the time I made this knife, Gafco had put up a lot of videos on how to do etching. This is not a high carbon steel, so it didn't etch very well, and I wasn't aware of that. Gafco also said in his videos that you can use a marker to design the knife to do the etching, but because this was low carbon steel, it took longer for the acid to bite into the steel to attack the carbon, I guess, and the marker just got erased, if you will, got eaten up. And what was left was the nail polish that I used to do the dinosaur footprints and the fire pattern and the wave pattern. This knife was made using a how did I cut it? An angle grinder, a small 4x36, maybe 1/4 horsepower sander or grinder, and a handheld drill. And you know, it shows that you don't need expensive equipment to make a knife. You can use the grinder was less than $100, and you know, the drill I already had, and the what else did I need? The angle grinder was $50, and that's all it took to make the knife. The file work is my own, of course. My first time with file work, came up pretty nice. The guard I made by wrapping it over a 4x4. This part here in the vise, bent in the vise. And, well, this is my first knife. And I keep it here pretty much to remind me of my humble beginnings, together with my other knives and fossils that I have here. Let's see what we have here. This is the only knuckle duster that my dad, who was my biggest fan, allowed me to keep. A couple of Batman batarangs that I made. This knife here is from my father-in-law, who passed away last year. This one is special to me. These two are just a couple of knives that my dad allowed me to keep. All the other knives that you see on my YouTube channel, he's kept. That one and these three here, which I'm not too sure who's going to end up keeping them. I've got vids on these two, not that one. I do plan to make some more of these. It seems like some of you guys are interested in them, so I plan to make a few and perhaps even put them up for sale. And that one I want to show, which I also plan to make a few and put them up for sale. I like the idea of using, you know, having your fingers in the handle or in the knife, so I could use my hands while using the knife. As a practitioner of, you know, wrestling and sambo, judo, Muay Thai, I like the ability of using my hands if I had to in the fight, but not so much where I would perhaps lose a finger or break a finger, but to use the hands and not drop the knife. So I like that. I like that design. It's kind of like a tanto with a drop point. It's got a, you know, a menacing pummel. It could be used in reverse. Right? It has something of a fuller, so you can put a couple of fingers here, 2 or 3 fingers here, and use it for fine work. Right? That's the purpose of this here. And of course it could be used in a various number of grips if you had to. Even here is a comfortable for more reach. So plan to make a few more of these and perhaps put them up on sale so I could pay for some of the steel, buy more steel, and make more knives. It needs a handle. Haven't finished it. It has been gone through heat treat. It's got something of a finish. I'm not done with the finish yet. Needs a handle, needs a sheath. This one you've seen a video already. I've got the tape on it because I am working on a Kydex sheath for it. Let's see if I can get the... ooh. So I'm getting a Kydex sheath. I'm going to have to open up this side here, right up to the finger choils, right? So you can pull it out. So you can grab it. So I'm working on that. And I'm also working on making samurai swords out of 3V. Got a lot of help from Dan Keffler. Really nice guy, Dan. Who's got a lot of experience making Japanese swords and a lot of experience with 3V, a lot of experience with knife making in general. That's awesome, awesome work. And so far I've got the rough grind, and I removed the scale, and pretty impressed with the work so far that I wanted to put it up here and display and kind of just take my time with it and enjoy the project. On the bottom we have a very long tanto blade, which is long enough to be called a wakizashi. Above it is a very long wakizashi, which is actually long enough to be considered a katana. The one in the middle with the handle, this one here, which is it has a slight curve. The curve is called sori. It's got a slight sori. This one is a Chinese-made katana. I bought it for like 80 bucks. And I bought it just so I could study the dimensions of it, the weight. So I had a model. And you can see the ones that I have more of a curve because I like the deeper sori. This one has this one, and that one all have about a 1-inch sori. The katana in the middle has about a 1/2 inch, maybe 0.6. This one over here is fairly straight, but it's because it's short. But they all have a similar curvature, except for the Chinese one, the one in the middle. So it's going to be a fun project. It's going to take me some time. What else do I have here? In honor of D-Man, I guess. Check his channel out. Another cool guy. This is a pair of scissors that I have sharpened. This is, I think it's 01 tool steel. It was fairly thick. I didn't want to throw them out, even though the tip fell, broke off and the pin broke off. So I'm making little knives. My father will find this funny because I'm recycling the scissors. It's an inside joke. I'm not going to go into it now. But I have a Kydex sheath for it, which I'm going to attach to a knife that I made for him. Oh, let's turn over here. Let's come over here. I got a lot of projects on the table which I need to finish. This is the second knife that my son and I worked on. He was a little intimidated using the angle grinder and the KMG grinder, so he tried it and then gave up because he just was afraid to screw up or hurt himself or get in trouble. It's not done yet. We have to do a lanyard. It has a fire starter here at the end. I don't know if I can pull it out with one hand. It's kind of tight, but it's got a fire starter here. And I need to figure out how to get the striker. We use the back of the blade. Wanted to show you guys. Thought you might find it interesting. A lot of people do the handles with a grinder or a Dremel, but I don't hear, or maybe a mill machine. I mean, there's another guy. What's his name? Menovate, I think. I hope I got that right. Another guy you should subscribe to who does awesome work, awesome customization work when it comes to handles. I mean, he does a lot of other things as well, which is awesome. But what really impressed me is his, and I'll put links below. His work with with handles is just awesome. But I did this with file work. So the rounding was done with a grinder. The back and this curve here was done with a grinder. But the other stuff was done with a very small file, not with a Dremel. And I was able to get very precise angles and, the same number of green and black stripes pretty much. And because these are smaller, they were less, but, fairly consistent, not only across these three, but also on the other side as well. It's got a tech lock. And this is a design that my son drew out. And for the most part, we made it together. It doesn't have a high polish, but that's what we did together. And that's going to be his knife. Not going to be, that's his knife. Doesn't have the maker's mark, not yet. But we worked on it together, pretty happy about it. I'm going to put the camera down for a second so I could sheath the knife. Okay, let's put this away. Last thing I want to show you. Last thing I want to show you are my bayonets. Alright, so we're covering a lot of things here today. Another cool guy on YouTube, and if I miss anyone, please, you know, there's so many cool guys on YouTube, I can't list you all. It's just whatever pops into mind. The Swedish paracord nut, subscribe to his video, another cool guy. He does a lot of great contests as well, very generous guy. And he had a video about, I guess it was a tag video on things that you made yourself, right? And I don't think it included knives. I think it was kind of like maybe things along this thing. So this knife stand I made myself using leftover pieces, recycled, just like D-Man. Leftover pieces of wood flooring, and I have a lot of leftover pieces, and I do a lot of things with that wood flooring. Put 3 pieces together, glued them, cut the board, the new board, you know, diagonally. So I ended up with these 2 triangular parts. Took another piece of the oak for the bottom, for the base. So it's kind of stands on its own now. Drilled 1/4 holes, and then took a 1/4